universe is complicated. And of course, for complicated things, humans like to try to find meanings for complicated things, simple terms of understanding it. And throughout history, most of these human ways of trying to understand the universe were either dead wrong or extremely dead wrong. But they were all wrong, you know. Even today's stuff, a lot of the things that we know today is wrong. For example, a lot of things that we knew in the 1950s have been disproven and replaced with a new idea today. In the future, in 2030, that we take for granted today will be disproven in the future. Now, that's a cool thing to think about, but back then they didn't really have too much of this thinking. Now, there were those people who thought about it, but you know, if you did think about it, you would kindly have your existence deleted, if you know what I mean. Executions. So there wasn't that much free thought. Then science came along. I mean modern science. And when we got tools to be able to measure stuff, we could use telescopes to see far away things and microscopes to see very close things. And that was the scientific revolution, when people started getting these tools and research and using them and finding out new things about the universe, whether up close or very small, or far away and huge. All of that, most of that, happened in the scientific revolution. And that was when everything changed. We went from being the center of the universe to being the center of nothing. We went from everything going around the Earth to Earth going around everything else, and all that stuff. And now we know that humans are not the most important things on Earth, that there might be life, maybe intelligent life on other planets, maybe even life more advanced than ours. But there's still, of course, those people who don't believe that, and I can see their point. We are not in a very advanced stage of the scientific revolution. We are in an early stage. For revolutions, really important revolutions like the scientific revolution, it sometimes takes centuries for them to be commonplace. The ideas that we got in the scientific revolution, people are still doubting it. Actually, a lot of people are still doubting it. A lot more than most people think. A lot of people still doubt what we know for a fact due to the scientific revolution. Is that fine? Well, as long as they're not in positions of power or anything like that so that they can mess everything up, then it's completely fine for them to believe that. It's their free will, as long as they're not mingling with other people and forcing them to believe their things, you know, like executioning people who don't. But of course, there's nothing that people can do about that. But what we can know is that these things are a fact. But why do people doubt this? Well, it might be because of religion, but there's some people who doubt it because, and I'm not joking, because it's too complicated for them. Literally, they kind of use Occam's razor. They use the simplest answers. It's like a lot of things that they say. For example, well, if the Earth was round, then it can't be complicated and that stuff. Well then, flat. Or that stuff like that. Well, we can't see the other side of the moon. The moon is flat. You might say that, well, they're stupid. No, they have a really good point, which is Occam's razor. Unfortunately, their version of Occam's razor doesn't work very well, as you probably know. Occam's razor isn't the simplest explanation. It's just to get rid of the way too simple and the way too complicated and get something that isn't way too complicated and not way too simple. Occam's razor would not approve of you saying, ghost! And would not approve of you reading an entire high school textbook to explain why chairs cast shadows. So, yeah. Science is hard, and science will always be hard. And don't worry, science is going to get harder the more that we know. It's not going to get easier, it's going to get a lot harder, from our perspective at least. There will be people in the future who will discover things that we could barely comprehend today. And there will be people who believe the things that we do in the future when what we believe is very outdated. That's going to happen. That's always going to happen. That's how human history works. When a new thing happens, when a new knowledge comes around, there will be those doubters, there will be those who hate it and think that it's like false and stuff. But as time goes on, they evolve into understanding that these are basic truths of the universe, that what we discover today will become false in the future. What we understand today is a highly simplified version of what things are. We think of them as advanced, but as time goes on, we will get new and new theories for how the universe works. And in maybe 1,000 years, it will be way beyond our wildest dreams.